This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. You know, this industry just seems to be lurching from one crisis to another. You got Trump's tariffs. You got China clamping down on rare earths. You got a fire at an aluminum plant. You got stranded EV investments. You got high interest rates. And now, delinquencies on car loans are up sharply. In the U.S., they are 50% higher than they were in the year 2010, according to a company called VantageScore. And here's the kicker. This is true across all credit scores, not just people with poor credit scores. Even people with prime scores are missing payments. Even though lenders started tightening up their standards a year ago, delinquencies continue to rise. Car loans used to be considered one of the safest forms of credit for lenders. Not anymore. And one of the things that's driving up these delinquencies is much higher rates of credit fraud. Car loan fraud is now 21 times higher than it is with credit cards. And the loss for auto fraud is over $19,000 per car, compared to about $900 per credit card. In many cases, the fraudsters have low credit scores, so they file a report claiming that they're victims of ID theft and that all that delinquent payments that they have were the result of that theft. Then the credit agencies raise their credit score, they use that to get a car loan, maybe even make a couple of payments on that loan, then simply stop paying. Porsche finally made it official. It named Michael Leiters as its next CEO, replacing Oliver Blume. Shareholders were unhappy with Blume's dual role as both CEO of Porsche and the Volkswagen Group, and they're especially unhappy with Porsche's sinking sales and profits. Leiters previously worked at Porsche for 13 years, until 2013. He then became Chief Technical Officer at Ferrari for 8 years before being hired as CEO of McLaren. And while Blume is being replaced at Porsche, he will continue to be CEO of the Volkswagen Group. Some people just don't want to see Elon Musk get that $1 trillion pay package. A company called Institutional Shareholder Services, which serves as a proxy advisor for shareholders, is urging Tesla shareholders to vote against the compensation plan. ISS cited what it calls unmitigated concerns with the size of the pay and design of the plan, and they also say it doesn't have any specific requirements to make sure Elon keeps his focus on Tesla. Tesla responded to the ISS, saying it, and I quote here, once again completely misses fundamental points of investing and governance. But the ISS might not have much sway over shareholders. In 2018, it recommended that investors reject Musk's pay package, but 3/4 of shareholders voted for it anyway.
Discover more than 300 best-in-class automotive solution providers this fall at Automotive Testing Expo and Automotive Interiors Expo North America. You'll see solutions for data acquisition, durability testing, electric and hybrid powertrain testing, ADAS testing, and more at Automotive Testing Expo. While at Automotive Interiors Expo, you'll see the latest in materials and coatings, smart textiles, ambient lighting, HMIs, and more. Join us from October 21st to 23rd at the Suburban Collection Showplace, Novi, Michigan.
Inside EVs has a great interview with GM President Mark Reuss. In it, he talks about how the company is absolutely planning for a day when it has to compete against the Chinese automakers in the U.S. But Reuss says GM can't copy what the Chinese are doing. It has to do better. He thinks the company's investments in R&D and new technology will be the key factors for why it can compete. The new lithium manganese rich, or LMR, batteries that it's working on with LG is going to be one of those key pieces of tech. They use less of the critical minerals that China has a stranglehold over. The cost could even be less than LFP batteries, but they have even more energy density than LFP. Along with better packaging, that's why Roy says LMR batteries can provide 400 miles of range, but with a much smaller pack. He also says LMR could unlock the business case for a mid-size electric pickup truck. However, There could be a whole new family of affordable EVs that use these batteries when they're expected to launch in 2028. About a year ago, GM talked about a family of Bolts. Roy says they may not be called Bolts, but they're expected to be around the same size and price as the Bolt, which starts just under $30,000. He even talked about white spaces in size, class, and forms for all different kinds of tastes. And this could turn out to be a battle royale between GM and Ford over affordable EVs. Ford's universal EV platform is also going to churn out a family of affordable EVs. European automakers are demanding that the EU give them regulatory relief over the billions of euros in CO2 fines that they face. So far, they've only been offered modest relief. So Nissan is going to pool its emissions with BYD to avoid paying the fines. BYD has accumulated CO2 credits for all the EVs that it's selling in Europe, and it's cheaper for Nissan to pay BYD for those credits instead of paying for the fines. Mercedes is pooling with Geely, and SsangYong from South Korea, which was renamed KG Mobility, is pooling with XPeng. So not only do European automakers have to compete with the Chinese automakers in their own market, they're going to have to pay them billions of euros for CO2 credits. Big news in the world of Formula One. No, we're not talking about Max Verstappen winning the US Grand Prix in Austin yesterday. We're talking about Apple getting the streaming rights for all F1 races shown in the US. Apple will pay F1 $140 million a year for 5 years for the rights to show all the races, sprints, practice, and qualifying on Apple TV. It will also provide content on all its other apps, including Apple News, Apple Maps, Apple Music, Apple Fitness, and Apple Sports. You know that Formula One movie that came out earlier this year with Brad Pitt? That was produced by Apple's movie studio called Apple Original Films. And by the way, that's the highest grossing film that Brad Pitt has ever been in. Okay, let's go over the results of our latest poll. We asked if generative AI is something that you would want in your car. 27% of you said yes, if it makes the car better, but a majority, 62%, said no, because you're concerned with data or personal info being collected. And the remaining 11% said none of the above. We got a lot of great feedback. Pietro is in favor of Gen AI. If regulated correctly, then sure. If it makes the vehicle more dependable, drive better, better for the environment, and safer. Kelly Spomberg says, my store specializes in replacing failed tech in vehicles, so bring it on. More money for me. Thomas Scherer had this to say, just make my vehicle perform reliably and economically. I can control the heater. Bobby Bishop points out, all this talk of them tracking your car, wake up, people. If you have a cell phone, you're already being tracked everywhere you go. And Luke Rinderknecht says, what's the application or task that it's specifically performing? For me, it's not the technology, it's what purpose it is serving. You know, we really appreciate all your feedback, and we hope that all of you viewers who work in product development are paying attention. AI can do a lot of terrific things, but people are still wary about having it in their cars. And that wraps up today's report. Thank you for watching Autoline Daily.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. CSP, the composites solution partner. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And thanks to the following YouTube and Patreon members.
developing today's vehicles, issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Neovi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
At CSP, we work with OEM engineers across the country on their journeys to lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly vehicles. Learn more at thecsp.com.
Knowing that a little rain won't slow down your day. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Turanza Quiet Track tires. Confident control in wet conditions.